So a really common modification for vehicles, particularly four-wheel drives, is changing the tyres. Now every vehicle will come with a set of tyres specified on the vehicle's placard. And the question is, are you legally allowed to fit tyres which are not specified by the manufacturer on the placard? Now this Everest Sport is a really good example of what I'm talking about. The placard says 20-inch tyres only, yet a lot of owners will want to change to 17-inch tyres, as this owner has done here, because then you've got a much greater sidewall, and that's much better for off-roading. So very often owners will modify their tyres and potentially might go a bit wider for performance cars, generally a bit taller for four-wheel drives, whatever the case may be, different aspect ratios, etc., to better tailor that vehicle for their specific purposes. And just as this Jimny owner has done, I've got a detailed video where I walk through all the modifications done to this vehicle, including quite a bit on tyre selection. But the question for this video is, what sort of tyres can you fit legally, and do you need to follow the placard? Well, I've done the research, I've read all the regulations, and I've asked the authorities, so here is the answer. So the first question was to Vic Roads, and I asked, car tyres which are not stated on the placard, can you fit them, provided they comply with various other limitations such as width, offset, aspect ratio, width, etc. And the answer there was tyres play a critical role, yada, okay, fine. The important point here is what I've highlighted in bold, which is operators may fit tyres and rims different from the original manufacturer's specifications as long as they are in the requirements specified in Vic Roads VSB 14. So what that says is you don't need to follow the placard. That's literally what it says there. But there are other limitations which I'll talk about in a minute. And as long as you're within those various other limitations, then you're okay not to follow the placard. But Vic Roads do say that they recommend you follow the manufacturer specifications, but hey, we're enthusiasts, our cars are for modifying, right? Now, I asked the same question to Queensland, and they came back with a very direct answer, very rare for government to answer that. Vehicles may be fitted with tyre sizes other than those stated on a tyre placard, which is nice, clear and to the point, which is why I have highlighted it. Then they point you towards the minor modifications brochure, and they talk about some of the points in there which we will get to. So that's Queensland. Now, I could ask every other state, but you get the idea. They're all going to give you the same answer, which is yes, you don't have to follow the placard as long as you are within the various other limits. And what are those other limits, I hear you ask? Well, let's talk about them. Now, this is not going to be an exhaustive blow-by-blow description of tyres, because if it was, I'd probably need in the order of a day to explain all sorts of things about tyres and then the laws, which are actually slightly different from state to state. So consider it kind of a bit of an overview of the things that you have to consider, and you need to look up your own state's modification laws. So first thing is tyre diameter increases. That is limited for MC class vehicles, which is typically four-wheel drives, and then NA class vehicles, which is light goods. You can go up to 50 millimetres, which oddly is irrespective of size. So that Jimny could go to a plus 50 mil tyre, so could a Ram Silverado, for example, and only 15 mil for a car type vehicle. Maximum width, 1.5 times the stock width for the widest 4x4s. Queensland throws in a bit about beam axles, 1.3 for car class vehicles. Track. Now, if you don't know the difference between track and offset, and lots of people don't, please watch my video on track and offset, because it is important to get right, and it's quite difficult to understand. But anyway, plus 50 mil for four-wheel drive vehicles, which is equivalent to a 25 mil offset change, 25 mil for cars. Now, the offset affects the rim width you can fit effectively, and the rim width has an effect on tyre width. And it's basically whichever one of these limits come first. You can't go, oh, it said 1.5 diameter is good, and then in order to do that you've exceeded the offset. So it's whichever one of these limits comes first. The tyres must not protrude. I think that's pretty well understood, if not actually always followed. Flare's an easy answer to that. The tyre must not foul. So over the complete suspension travel, no part of the tyre must touch a upper control arm and a guard or whatever the case may be. Otherwise you've got to get gutter rolling or whatever, somehow solve that problem. The speedo must read within ADR 18 as well, and no spacers, and a tyre must be appropriate for the rim. So all of you stance people out there who are fitting stretch tyres, no, but you probably know it's illegal already, so probably not even watching this video, so why am I bothering talking about it? So this is just an example list, right? It is state specific, and you've also got to consider load and speed ratings as well. And remember, it's whichever one of these limits you reach first. You can't go, oh, okay, well the tyre doesn't foul, therefore it's okay. If it's 1.6 wider than the maximum stock, it's got to look at it as an entirety here, and it takes a bit of a while to figure all of this stuff out. Now, in a lot of the state regulations will refer to something called the NCOP, section LS, and that's version 2.1. Some examples here: overall nominal diameter. This is the sort of document you've got to read if you want to understand this stuff. They talk about four-wheel drive passenger vehicles, typically MC, increases in tyre diameter, wheels and tyres. That's the sort of document you've got to plough through if you really want to understand what you need to be doing here. So why doesn't the tyre placard list all of the options and make life easy for us? Well, that's a good question, and it's basically this: a car is typically specifically designed with a wheel and tyre package, and if you've got, in the case of the Ford Everest there, if it's been designed with a 20-inch wheel and tyre package, dynamically that's different from a 17-inch wheel and tyre package for quite a number of reasons. Even if the tyre diameter is the same, the width may vary. And you're going, well, they're both 265 tyres on the 17-inch and the 20-inch. Well, then that's only the width of the tyre. It's not actually the width of the contact patch. And the width of the contact patch on a 265/20 tyre is different to a 265/17 tyre. And I've got a video where I explain that as well. And when you've got a wide tyre versus a narrow tyre, that behaves dynamically differently, therefore you engineer the car slightly differently. The tyre aspect ratio is something else as well. The higher aspect ratio, the 20-inch tyre, doesn't compress as well, and that changes the car's dynamics. Tyre deflection, unsprung mass, is another one as well. The 20-inch tyre, or rim rather, with the tyre would be heavier than the 17-inch. You've got greater unsprung mass, so you change the dampers maybe a bit, and also suspension damping and electronic driving aids. So when a car maker goes from a 17-inch to a 20-inch tyre, the good ones actually change quite a bit of the car, the suspension, possibly steering, geometry, even electronic driving aids, various other things. And that's why they go, okay, we've engineered this car for a 20-inch tyre, not for a 17-inch tyre. Now, there's nothing wrong, I don't think, with putting a 17-inch tyre on it, because you're probably going to change a lot of stuff anyway with the car, so it's fine. And again, you don't need to follow the placard, and tell your tyre fitter that as well. The summary is you can fit tyres which are not on the placard, provided they are within various other limits, and that's the really key thing to remember. So I hope you found this video useful. If you've got any questions, please drop them in the comments, and thank you for watching.